Hey everyone, this is Chef Steve from Steve Cooks Stuff, and today we're making brunch. I don't know about you, but I'm a big brunch guy, especially on the weekends, and one of my favorite go-tos is my breakfast hash that goes down in a skillet. I've got my Lodge cast iron skillet heated, ready to go here. My oven's warmed up and everything's ready. So I'm gonna show you real quick how this comes together. I always start out with my bacon. Right here I've got 4 slices. They're just stacked together, and I just make cuts about 3/4 to an inch thick, like so. And I don't worry about separating them. I just want them all cut up into pieces about an inch thick, like I said. And then we're just gonna take those right away and throw them in the pan. You're gonna hear them sizzle, just like that. Now with a dish like this, I don't use any extra olive oil or butter or anything. I let the bacon fat do my seasoning for me and getting everything going, because it's bacon fat, right? So let's just go with that. So you see, even though I threw them in when they were all stacked together, as soon as the heat starts to hit them, they'll start to shrink a little bit, which will cause them to separate. So that's all I'm looking for. And as soon as they start to turn a little bit, I'm already starting to get some good browning on these right here. Next thing that goes in is potatoes. Right here I've diced up a Idaho potato and half of a sweet potato, because I like to kind of mix it up a little bit. So I add those in just like that, and then I just want to start to turn them and fold them in there with the bacon. The grease from the bacon is already starting to coat it, and you can look down and see on the vegetables they have that, you know, kind of a moisture look to them. They've got the bacon grease already going on them. This whole thing's going to happen in the oven, so this part actually goes together pretty quick. As soon as you get your potatoes in there turning, next thing, I've got half of a yellow onion and half of a green bell pepper. So I'm gonna just throw that in there next. Again, keep stirring. It's looking really good. Everything is breaking apart. I can already see that all the bacon is separated, which is what I want. I can already start to smell it. I'm smelling the onions, I'm smelling the green peppers. It's super colorful. I've got, you know, because of the sweet potato, I've got orange, green, yellow, and of course the beautiful pink bacon going on in there, right? All right, next thing, garlic. We got to throw in a little bit of garlic right up front. We'll be adding more later, don't you worry, but we're going to start with just a little bit right there. Okay. We're just about ready to go. I like to use this blend here. It's got sea salt, pepper, and garlic in it. Kind of hits all the notes there. Now, because of the bacon, I don't like to use a lot of salt in this dish, but because this also has the black pepper and a little bit of that dry garlic, I'll just give a little bit on the top right there. And then this is a lemon butter garlic thing from the same company, Kinder's. If you hadn't noticed, we've got three layers of garlic going already here, between the fresh, the powdered, and from the blend. Give that a stir. And then the last thing we're going to throw in there right before we go into the oven is we have these diced chipotle peppers that are in like an adobo sauce. I like to buy them when they're diced, easier to work. I can just kind of sprinkle them in like that. These will give a little kick. I don't personally like my food extra super hot, so I just give a little bit, just to give a little bit of that smoky chipotle flavor. All right, we're looking good. My oven is heated at 400 degrees. I'm gonna make sure I can see everything right here on top. I'm gonna throw this in the oven at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. I'm gonna set up for the next dish I'm gonna show you for our brunch feast today. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We've got our breakfast hash out of the oven. It went in for 20 minutes. I did pull it out about halfway through and stir it just to make sure that everything gets kind of tossed around there. The bacon is almost perfectly cooked at this point. Potatoes, everything looks great. It smells delicious. Now we got our last little step here. So what I've done is started dicing up these, or not dicing, but taking these cherry tomatoes, cutting them in half. At this point, we add them in because we want them to still have some texture to them when this dish is finished. If I put them in early, they'd just be pretty much mush by now. So we put them in at this stage. Next up, wouldn't you guess it? A little more garlic. So the way garlic works is you can cook it at a variety of times. The longer it cooks, basically the less pungent it is, but the more flavorful it is. So what I like to do is put some in the beginning, and then in the middle stages, so you get the flavor, and then eventually by the end you have that pungent flavor to it as well. We're gonna do that, and then we're gonna add some lemon. Just a nice little squeeze of a half a lemon here. Put that around. Okay. And we wanna give it a stir. Always stir from the bottom, make sure everything's tossed in there, coated really well once again, like so. Looking really good, smelling amazing as always. All right, now here's my favorite part. I wanna kind of take a look at it, make sure everything's distributed pretty evenly, because in a minute we'll be divvying this up for some people and everyone wants to have a little bit of each flavor in their bites, right? So just kind of spread it out like that. And then I just make 3 little wells like this. And what are those wells for? What else? At a brunch, eggs. So I've got my eggs ready to go here. What I want to do is just add them one at a time right into those little wells, like so. Now the thing about this recipe is it's easily scalable. Sometimes I make this for myself. It's not on a weekend. I'll make it on a Tuesday morning, just a smaller skillet, smaller batch. I'll use 1 or 2 eggs. This particular one is a 3-egg batch. You can go bigger pan, just scale it up. All of my recipes that I make, I try to make them so that they're scalable based on, 2 people all the way up to however many you want to have over. So that's it. This is going back in the oven at 400 degrees for about 7 to 8 minutes. I usually check it at 7 because we want to make sure the eggs don't get overdone. But I'm going to throw in the oven, I'll check it at 7, then I'll check back in with you. All right, we are back and we are out of the oven. We've got our cast iron skillet breakfast hash is done, it's ready. The eggs look great, everything looks great, smells great. The last little bit before we plate it up, while it's still hot, is to take a little cheese. This is just a blend of like cheddar, Jack, Monterey Jack. Call it a 4 cheese blend. Really at this point you can use kind of whatever cheese you want. I like to get 3 or 4 different kinds in there, so we go like that. That's gonna start to melt. Our cheese is melted, so I'm gonna move this out of the way. I'm gonna bring in a bowl. Now, the reason I love this dish so much is because, as you can see with this one, we've got 3 eggs around a whole skillet. So it's essentially 3 portions. Someone like me, I might eat 2, you never know. But it's a great way when you're having brunch to feed multiple people out of 1 pan. So you just want to kind of cut this way and then slide your skillet underneath, keeping the egg intact, and then just lift it right over into your bowl like so. Look at that. I can see right there, the egg is still jiggling, still runny for me, which is exactly what I wanted out of that. If you like your eggs, more firm, let it go a little longer. It's kind of just up to you and what you want to eat and what you want to feed people. So there's one right there. We've got our cheeses all melted. I'll add a little bit more because we lost some on the taking it out of the pan there. And then we're just going to take some of our fresh herbs. This is just a little flat leaf parsley. And then the very last thing that I like to dress mine up with, this is a balsamic vinegar reduction. So this is something, I just reduced this earlier, but sometimes once I do, a bottle or half a bottle, I'll just keep it like in a squeezy so I can put it on later. But I did this morning. So this is just balsamic vinegar. Put it in a pot on the stove, similar to how I did the simple syrup, and then just let it reduce. It'll get all the way down to like a fraction of what it was. So this probably started out at about a half a cup, and I maybe have a couple teaspoons left. But you can see it's thick. You get a nice little drizzle, and this is giving that nice little vinegar bite right along top of it. Last thing I'm gonna do, a final light squeeze of lemon. One last little dash of my blend here, which is again sea salt, pepper, and garlic. And that's it.